There is a material sitting in hardware stores right now that costs less than $5 a bag, weighs almost nothing until you mix it, and can be shaped into almost anything you want. And most home gardeners walk straight past it every single time. Cement, or more specifically, the things you can make with cement in a single weekend that would cost hundreds of dollars to buy finished in a garden center, a home store, or from a landscape supplier. A planter that looks like aged stone. A stepping stone path that looks like it was laid by a professional. A garden table that weighs 40 kilos and looks like something from an Italian villa courtyard. Garden sculptures, wall features, raised bed borders, Hypertufa troughs that could pass for genuine antiques. All of it, from a bag that costs less than $5 and a mold you already have in your kitchen or garage. Today, 12 DIY cement garden ideas that look absolutely amazing. Everyone tested, everyone achievable on a weekend, everyone guaranteed to make people ask how much you paid to have them installed. Stay to the very end, because the final idea on this list is the cement project that requires the least skill, costs almost nothing to make, and produces the single most dramatic garden feature of everything here. Let's go! Welcome back to Daily Garden Fix, where the garden you keep planning becomes the one you're actually building this weekend. Before idea 1, drop a comment right now and tell me, have you ever worked with cement before? Yes, no, tried it once and it went badly? I want to know where you are starting from because I read every comment on this channel and I reply to everyone. And if you have tried a cement project that did not go as planned, tell me what happened. Because most cement mistakes are fixable and most of them come from 1 or 2 very specific errors I'm going to help you avoid today. Before the ideas, 2 minutes on materials. Because the right mix makes the difference between a project that lasts 20 years and one that crumbles after the first frost. For planters, ornaments, and decorative features, use a mix of 1 part Portland cement, 1.5 parts sharp sand, and 1 part perlite or fine grit. This produces a slightly flexible, frost-resistant mix that handles the freeze-thaw cycle of outdoor winters without cracking. For structural pieces, stepping stones, tabletops, raised bed edging, use 1 part Portland cement to 2 parts, sharp sand to 1 part coarse aggregate, stronger, denser, rated for load bearing. For Hypertufa, the aged stone look, replace the sharp sand with peat moss or coir fiber. The organic material creates the porous, lightweight texture that replicates natural tufa stone. Always mix dry ingredients first before adding water slowly. The mix should hold its shape when squeezed in a fist but not be wet enough to run. That consistency, firm, not liquid, is the one thing that separates successful cement projects from ones that collapse in the mold. Cure all cement projects slowly. Cover with damp cloth or plastic for 48 hours minimum. Slow curing produces a stronger, denser final material. Idea 1. The Hypertufa trough planter. Idea number 1. The cement project that produces the single most convincing fake antique in DIY gardening and looks genuinely indistinguishable from a Victorian stone trough at 20 feet. Hypertufa is the planter material of serious gardeners. Mix 1 part Portland cement, 1 part coir or peat moss, and 1 part perlite with enough water to reach a firm but moldable consistency. Find 2 cardboard boxes, one slightly smaller than the other. Line both with plastic bags. Pour a 2-inch layer of Hypertufa into the base of the larger box. Set the smaller box inside it, centered. Fill the space between the 2 boxes with Hypertufa, pressing it firmly and eliminating air pockets as you go. Push 3 or 4 short wooden dowels or pencils through the base layer of the mix. These become drainage holes when removed after curing. Cover with damp cloth. Leave for 48 hours. Tear away the cardboard. Allow to cure outdoors for a further 2 weeks before planting. The alkalinity of fresh cement is too high for plant roots until it has weathered. The finished trough has the weight, the texture, and the surface quality of natural stone. Moss will colonize the surface within 1 season outdoors. Within 2 seasons, it looks like something that has been in the garden for 50 years. Antique stone troughs sell for $300 and upward. Yours costs $4 in materials. Budget $4. Idea 2. Cement leaf. Stepping stones. Idea number 2. The stepping stone project that uses the most extraordinary natural molds available. Completely free, already in your garden. Find large flat leaves with strongly defined vein structure. Rhubarb leaves, hosta leaves, gunnera leaves, or large tropical leaves all work exceptionally well. The vein pattern on the underside of the leaf becomes the surface texture of the finished stone. And that natural vein pattern is what makes these stepping stones look like pieces of sculptural art rather than concrete pavers. Lay each leaf flat on a bed of damp sand, vein side upward. The sand supports the natural curve of the leaf during the pour. Mix cement to a firm consistency. Spread it onto the vein side of the leaf to a depth of approximately 1.5 inches, working carefully from the center outward to preserve the leaf's natural shape. Reinforce with a layer of wire mesh or chicken wire pressed into the top surface of the wet cement. Cover with another inch of mix over the mesh. Allow to cure for 48 hours covered with damp cloth. Peel the leaf away. The vein pattern is pressed into the cement surface in extraordinary detail. Every primary vein, every secondary vein, every fine tertiary line perfectly reproduced. Paint the surface with a diluted exterior concrete stain in a warm stone tone or a deep forest green to enhance the relief pattern. Lay them through a lawn or garden border. The path looks like something from a botanical garden. Budget under $5 per stone. Idea 3. Cement ball garden ornaments. Idea number 3. The garden ornament that looks like it came from an expensive garden center, made from a balloon and a bag of cement. Inflate a round balloon to the diameter you want your finished cement ball. Tie it off. Mix cement to a slightly thicker than usual consistency, firm enough to hold its shape on a curved surface without slumping. Apply the mix to the outside of the balloon using a gloved hand or a small trowel, building it up to a thickness of approximately 1 inch across the entire surface. Work in sections, allowing each section to firm slightly before moving to the next so the weight of successive applications does not cause the previous ones to slide. Allow the full coat to cure for 24 hours. Apply a second coat to any thin areas. Cover with damp cloth and cure for a further 48 hours. Once fully cured, pop the balloon through a small cut at the tied neck. The balloon deflates and pulls away from the interior surface cleanly. What remains is a perfect cement sphere. Sand any rough areas. Seal with clear exterior sealant. Paint with metallite exterior paint in aged bronze, pewter, or weathered stone for an ornament that looks cast rather than hand-built. Place 3 spheres of different sizes together in a gravel bed at the base of a statement container or at the end of a garden pathway as a full stop. Budget under $3 per ball. Idea 4. The cement Hypertufa bowl. Idea number 4. The shallow planting bowl that looks like a piece of artisan ceramics and costs $3 to make. A large plastic mixing bowl or salad bowl from the kitchen becomes the mold. Line it with petroleum jelly, applied generously to every interior surface as a release agent. The cement will not bond to the petroleum jelly and the finished bowl releases cleanly. Mix Hypertufa to a firm consistency. Press it into the lined bowl to a consistent depth of 1.5 inches across the base and up the sides. Keep the thickness even. Thin patches are weak points and thick patches create unnecessary weight. Push 3 pencils through the base layer to create drainage holes. Cover and cure for 48 hours. Flex the plastic bowl gently to break the bond and lift the finished piece out. Place it outside in the weather for 2 weeks before planting. The rain washes out the surface alkalinity, and the texture begins to develop its natural aged quality. Plant with a single specimen, a large architectural succulent, a clipped bowl of grass, a miniature alpine plant arrangement. The bowl's shallow depth and wide rim make it the perfect container for plants that prefer excellent drainage and dislike deep planting. The finished bowl, placed on a gravel surface with a specimen plant, looks like a piece of studio ceramics. The Hypertufa texture reads as hand-thrown rather than mold cast. Budget $3. Idea 5. Cement garden edging tiles. Idea number 5. The border edging that gives any garden bed the clean professional finish that most domestic gardens never achieve for under $10 for a full border run. Cut lengths of timber offcut or old skirting board into identical rectangles approximately 8 inches by 4 inches. These are the molds for each edging tile. Lay them on a flat surface and line with petroleum jelly or a plastic sheet release agent. Mix cement to a firm structural consistency. Pour into each mold to a depth of 1 inch. Tap the mold sharply on the work surface several times to release air bubbles and settle the mix. Allow to cure fully, minimum 48 hours, before demolding. For a decorative surface, press a simple texture into the top face of the wet mix before it sets. The end of a bolt, a length of rope pressed and then removed, or a simple carved pattern in the bottom of the mold all transfer their texture to the finished tile surface. Set the cured tiles on edge into the soil along the borderline, half their depth below soil level, half above. They create a clean, hard borderline between lawn and planted bed that requires no maintenance, never rots, never shifts, and always reads as professionally installed. Stain them in a consistent tone, warm charcoal, aged terracotta, for a unified border that ties the garden together visually. Budget under $10 for a full 10-meter border run. Idea 6. The cement garden tabletop. Idea number 6. The garden furniture piece that costs under $20 to build and weighs enough to stay where you put it through any weather. Build a simple timber frame from off-cut wood. The dimensions of the tabletop you want. A rectangle of 60 by 40 centimeters is a generous side table size. A circle of 60 centimeters diameter, cut from a sheet of thin ply, makes a beautiful round tabletop. Line the frame or ply mold with plastic sheeting pulled flat and smooth. Mix a structural cement to a firm consistency. Pour to a depth of 2.5 inches. While the surface is still wet, press decorative elements into the top face. Smooth pebbles arranged in a simple pattern, fragments of broken ceramic tile in a mosaic arrangement, a simple leaf impression in the center. These additions set permanently into the surface as the cement cures. Embed 2 galvanized bolts in the underside of the pour. Position to align with a simple metal table base or a section of timber that becomes the leg. These create the fixing points for the base. Cure for a full 72 hours under damp cloth. Demolding reveals the decorative surface. Seal the finished tabletop with 2 coats of outdoor concrete sealer. Fix to the base. Place in the garden. The pebble or tile inlays in a cement tabletop look like something from a Mediterranean terrace. The material weight means it will never move, never rust, and never need replacing. Budget under $20 for the top. Base from salvaged timber or a metal hairpin leg set. 6 ideas in, 6 more to go, plus the bonus ideas that follow. Coming up, the cement project that the most experienced garden makers consistently say is the one they return to most. And the final idea, the one that requires the least skill of everything on this list, and produces the single most dramatic result. Stay with me. Idea 7. Cement painted terracotta pot upgrade. Idea number 7. The transformation project that takes a plain cheap terracotta pot and turns it into something that looks hand-cast and genuinely expensive. Take any terracotta pot, new or old. Mix a thin slurry of cement and water to the consistency of thick paint. Add a small amount of acrylic exterior paint in the color you want as a base tone, warm gray, aged white, deep charcoal, and mix it through the slurry until consistent. Apply the cement slurry to the outside of the pot with a stiff brush in rough overlapping strokes. Do not smooth it. The texture of the brush strokes is the decoration. Apply 2 coats, allowing the first to firm for 20 minutes before applying the second. While the second coat is still firm but not fully set, press textures into the surface. A crumpled piece of fabric dragged across the surface creates a linen-like impression. A natural sponge dabbed against the surface creates a stone-like pitting. A stiff wire brush raked across it creates fine linear marks. The final surface, a terracotta pot with an applied textured cement exterior, reads as a hand-cast vessel. The pot inside provides structural integrity and drainage. The cement exterior provides the appearance. Apply a dry brush coat of a lighter tone over the cured surface, just the high points of the texture catching the lighter color, for a stone or aged plaster effect that reads as three-dimensional. Budget under $1 per pot in materials. Idea 8. The Cement Hypertufa Wall Planter. Idea number 8. The wall-mounted planting feature that gives any flat fence or exterior wall the immediate presence of a designed garden installation. Mix Hypertufa to a firm, almost dry consistency, firm enough that it holds a shape when pressed into a mold without slumping. The drier the mix, the easier it is to press into a wall-mounted form. Use a small plastic container, a yogurt pot, a takeaway container, an old wall bracket box as the mold. Line it with petroleum jelly. Press the Hypertufa mix firmly into the mold, leaving a planting cavity in the center approximately 2 inches deep and 3 inches wide. Push a pencil through the base to create a drainage hole. Cure for 48 hours. Demold. Fix to the fence using an exterior screw and wall plug through the back of the piece. The Hypertufa is strong enough to take a direct fixing point through its body. Plant with a small trailing succulent, a single alpine plant, or a herb cutting. The planted wall piece has the quality of a handmade ceramic wall sconce. 3 or 4 fixed to a fence in an asymmetric arrangement at varying heights and slight angles create a wall display that looks like individually commissioned pieces from a ceramicist. The distinction between this and a bought wall planter is the handmade surface quality. No commercial piece looks exactly like another Hypertufa piece. The variation is the point. Budget under $2 each. Idea 9. The Cement Raised Bed Border. Idea number 9. The raised bed surround that looks like natural stone, requires no specialist stone laying skill, and costs a fraction of the real thing. Mix a structural cement with small aggregate, pea gravel or fine stone chippings to create a mix with visible stone texture throughout. This is the detail that reads as natural stone rather than plain concrete. Build a simple timber frame to the dimensions of your intended raised bed, a rectangle or square. Line the inside with plastic sheeting as a release form. Pour the mix to a wall width of 4 inches and a height of 8 to 10 inches. Reinforce with a single layer of steel mesh embedded in the pour. Tap the frame repeatedly as you fill it to settle the mix and eliminate voids. Allow to cure for 72 hours minimum. Remove the timber form. The aggregate in the mix creates a surface texture that reads as stone, particularly after weathering and moss growth begin on the outer face. Set the cured bed border in position and fill with quality raised bed compost. The visible stone aggregate in the cement surface combined with the natural weathering that begins within the first season produces a raised bed border that is indistinguishable from natural stone construction at any normal viewing distance. Budget under $15 per raised bed. Idea 10. Cement and Glass Bottle Garden. Wall idea number 10. The garden wall that turns the most ordinary discarded material, empty glass bottles, into something extraordinary. This is the bottle wall technique used in folk architecture across Central America, the American Southwest, and rural Europe for centuries, and currently one of the most sought-after features in contemporary garden design. Collect glass bottles of consistent height, wine bottles, beer bottles, spirit bottles. Clear and green in combination create the most beautiful light effects. All green reads warm and forest-like. All clear reads bright and modern. Mix structural cement to a firm consistency. Build the wall the same way a brick wall is built. A first course of cement. Bottles laid horizontally into it at consistent intervals with the bases facing outward. A second course of cement over the first. A second course of bottles offset from the first like brickwork. Continue upward to the height you want. The cement becomes the mortar. The bottles become the structural elements and the decorative ones simultaneously. When sunlight hits the wall from behind, the garden side, the light passes through the glass bottle bases and creates circles of colored light on the opposite surface. Green bottles throw green light pools. Clear bottles scatter white light. Blue bottles, if you can source them, create pools of deep blue light that move across the garden floor as the sun tracks across the sky. Used as a short retaining wall, a garden border definition, or a freestanding feature wall. The glass bottle and cement construction is one of the most visually extraordinary things achievable in a domestic garden. Budget, under $10 for cement. Bottles sourced free. Idea 11, the cement birdbath idea number 11. The garden feature that combines practical wildlife value with the visual presence that anchors the garden around it, made entirely from a bag of cement and a plastic bowl. 2 molds. A large shallow bowl for the basin, a plastic mixing bowl, a large salad bowl, anything with a gentle curve and a wide diameter, a smaller, denser form for the pedestal, a plastic plant pot turned upside down, a length of PVC pipe sealed at one end, a stack of cardboard tubes wrapped in plastic. Line both molds with petroleum jelly. Pour the structural cement mix into the base of the large bowl to a depth of 1.5 inches. Press the inverted pedestal mold into the center of the wet pour, pushed in firmly so it is embedded in the base cement. The pedestal mold and the basin mold cure together as one connected piece. Allow full cure 72 hours, then demold both pieces carefully. The basin and pedestal come out as a single unit. Clean any rough edges with a wire brush or sandstone. Apply a diluted concrete stain in warm gray or aged stone. Seal with exterior concrete sealer. Fill the basin with fresh water and place in the garden at the end of a pathway, in the center of a planting scheme, or wherever a focal point is needed. A handmade cement bird bath, weathered to gray and surrounded by planting, has a quality of permanence and presence that no plastic or resin equivalent ever achieves. It reads as something installed, something that belongs. Budget, under $8. Idea 12, the cement garden. Sculpture from sand casting idea number 12. The idea I told you about at the beginning, the one that requires the least skill and produces the most dramatic result. Sand casting. Fill a large container, a child's sandbox, or a prepared patch of damp garden soil with sand. Dampen the sand until it holds a shape when compressed. Press any object and/or your own hands and arms or a found form into the sand to a depth of 3 to 4 inches. Create a cavity of the shape you want your finished sculpture to be. Mix structural cement to a pourable but not runny consistency, just fluid enough to pour without needing to be shoveled. Pour it into the sand cavity, filling it completely to the surface level of the sand. Allow to cure in place for 72 hours without disturbing. Lift the cured casting from the sand. Brush the sand from the surface. Some sand remains embedded in the outer face of the casting, creating an extraordinary texture of fine aggregate and smooth cement that no other technique produces. The form you pressed into the sand becomes a cement sculpture. A handprint becomes a wall relief. A pressed leaf or branch impression becomes a botanical casting. A modeled face or figure pressed into the sand becomes a garden wall ornament. The sand casting technique has no learning curve. It requires no mold-making skill. The sand is the mold, shaped by hand, by found objects, by whatever form you want to reproduce. The only limit is the depth and complexity of the impression you can press cleanly into damp sand. Place the finished casting against a wall, set it into a planted border, or mount it on a post as a garden focal point. The sandcast texture reads as intentional and artisan, because it is both. Budget under $5. The most dramatic result per dollar of any project on this list. Bonus idea 13. Cement candle holders. The first bonus idea. Small, fast, and one of the most effective table decorations for any outdoor, entertaining space. Press a candle or a short glass jar into the center of a bowl of firm cement mix, leaving a cavity of exactly the right diameter. Smooth the exterior of the bowl around it. Allow to cure with the candle or jar in place. It releases cleanly once the cement has set around it. Remove the candle or jar former. What remains is a cement candle holder with the rough, irregular exterior of a hand-shaped ball and a perfectly clean interior cavity. Make 5 or 6 in different sizes, place them along a garden table, a low wall, a pathway edge, any candle inside them glowing warm through the gray cement exterior at dusk, casting the shadow of the holder's irregular surface onto the surrounding ground. A collection of 6 cement candle holders on a garden table costs under $3 to make and creates an outdoor table setting that looks considered and beautiful. Budget under 50 cents each. Bonus idea 14. Cement garden numbers and letters. The second bonus idea. The personalization detail that most garden makers never think to include, and that makes a garden feel specifically, unmistakably owned. Pour cement into alphabet cookie cutters or number cutters pressed onto a plastic sheet. Fill to a depth of 1 inch. Allow to cure. Release the cutters. The finished letters and numbers are cement tiles. Exact in form, smooth on the mold face, rough and organic on the exposed top surface. Arrange the numbers of your house or the letters of a word: grow, rest, home, on a garden wall, a fence, or mounted on a length of reclaimed timber as a garden sign. Fix each tile with exterior tile adhesive or set them into a cement stepping stone from idea 2, letters pressed into the top surface of a wet pour, filled flush, and cured as part of the stone itself. The pathway through your garden becomes a sentence as you walk it. Budget under $2. Bonus idea 15. The cement dip-dyed pebble collection. The third bonus idea, and the quickest one on this list, achievable in an afternoon, requiring nothing beyond pebbles, cement slurry, and a bucket. Collect smooth pebbles from a garden, a beach, or a river. Any size, any natural stone. Mix cement to a thin paint-like slurry. Add exterior acrylic paint to the slurry in a single color: warm white, pale terracotta, sage green. Hold each pebble by one end and dip the other half into the slurry. One clean dip, withdraw it. Let the excess drip back into the bucket. Set it on a board to cure. The dipped half of each pebble is coated in a thin, even skin of tinted cement. The undipped half shows the natural stone surface. The line between the two, clean, precise, exactly where the slurry surface met the stone, is the decoration. A collection of 12 to 15 dip-dyed pebbles arranged in a shallow tray on a garden table, in the base of a glass vase, or scattered through a gravel garden bed reads as a curated collection of designed objects. Like something from a boutique garden store at $10 each. Each one cost nothing. Each one took 30 seconds to make. Budget, $0 for pebbles collected. Under $1 for cement slurry. 12 ideas and 3 bonuses for DIY cement garden projects that look absolutely amazing. The Hypertufa trough, cement leaf stepping stones, cement ball ornaments, the Hypertufa bowl, cement edging tiles, the cement tabletop, the terracotta pot upgrade, the Hypertufa wall planter, the cement raised bed border, the glass bottle garden wall, the cement bird bath, sandcast garden sculptures, cement candle holders, garden letters, and numbers, and the dip-dyed pebble collection. Here is what I want from you right now. Tell me in the comments which of these you are making first. Not which one you liked most, which one you are actually doing this weekend. And if you have made anything from cement in your garden before, share a photo in the comments or describe what you made. I want to see what this community creates. I read every comment. I reply to everyone. Share this video with one person who always assumed concrete was only for contractors and construction, because everything on this list proves otherwise. Next week on Daily Garden Fix, 15 garden transformations using materials from the hardware store that look like they came from a landscape designer. Everything under $30, everything done in a weekend. Subscribe, hit the bell. I will see you there. Make something this weekend. Make it yours.